Welcome to another episode of the Capital Gains Tax Solutions podcast, where we believe most high net worth individuals and those who help them struggle with clarifying their capital gains tax deferral options. Not having a clear plan is the enemy, and using a proven tax deferral strategy to exit and sell your business or real estate is the best way for you to create and preserve your wealth. I'm your host, Brett Swartz. In each episode, I am joined by some of the best real estate, financial, business, and sometimes franchise minds in the world, where they share their ideas, deal stories, and inspiration. So together we can make complex tax deferral strategies simple and passive income plans achievable. I am ecstatic about our next guest. He was born and raised on the island of Puerto Rico, and to an entrepreneur father working in the furniture wholesale business. He was destined for greatness as a child. At a young age, he learned the importance of establishing a foundation of successful business and the tools and attitude necessary to help any business succeed. His entrepreneurial spirit was passed down from generation to generation and became the impulse which drove him. He created his first business at the age of 12, a paper route which quickly grew from 25 subscribers to 535 in less than 8 months, and no doubt became the newspaper reporter of the year. From that drive and determination and the insight, he has executed and developed many emerging businesses and strategies, not only in the oil and gas world, but also in the expanding and developing landscape of franchisor and franchisee. Now offering tools, classes, and motivational resources to bring any potential client to his or her best in the franchising world. He offers a host of wealth to all of his clients he serves. He's the founder of Salter Real Solutions franchise, and he's going to give us a lot of wisdom here today. Please welcome to the show with me, Ricardo Matos. Hey, Ricardo, how are you doing today?
Good. I'm doing great. Brent, how are you?
Hey, better than I deserve. I'm excited to have you on the show and to share your story and to get to know you a little bit here with my audience along the way. First question, would you give our listeners a little bit more about your background and your current focus?
So basically, my background has been business development, done a lot of statistical quantification analysis, reverse accounting engineering for the oil and gas industry and many other different business entities. I started at a very young age in an entrepreneurial mind, helping people expand their knowledge and wisdom due to the fact that my dad was always an entrepreneur, always a business go-getter, person who always strive for success no matter what. And he always encouraged me to move forward in life by thinking outside the box and not within the box before even the box terminology even existed. And that's basically I followed my dad's path. And when I created Stated Real Solution, I did it in memory of my grandfather's family name, which comes all the way from Germany back in the days. And I gave a tribute to my mother for the name of my company, Stated Real Solution. And my background is more of a ideal helping people to strive forward, helping people to understand the methodology of what it takes to own a business and finding an understanding and making the right decision when you get to own a franchise. And since we do all the backtracking on all the reverse accounting engineering or the study of the numbers from one franchise to another, I have always said that no one franchise is created equal, and not all equal franchises are equally profitable. And what do I mean by that? I give you a good example. Blockbuster, great friend of mine who created this particular franchise. You can have three Blockbuster in one particular area in a city, and one could be very profitable and the other one could not. So what do? You keep running it until it goes to the ground, or do you close it? So all those things is one of the things that we emphasize in evaluating the numbers for any of our clients before they jump in into owning a particular franchise. So,
Amazing. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
so not just to make the long story short, it is all about analyzing and making sure that each individual client can actually have the right information to make the decision when acquiring or attaining a particular franchise. Due to the fact that not all franchise are bought, they're actually awarded. The meaning that you want to own a franchise does not necessarily mean that you're going to be able to own it unless otherwise it's awarded to you. That is a misconception of people that you can buy. Let's say you want to buy a Chick-fil-A. Guess what? 1,000 people apply to Chick-fil-A's every year. How many do they get awarded? Probably three or four a year. That's about it, right? They're awarded. They're not bought. So we want to make sure that you get qualified for
Excellent. Yeah, we'll dive into that here a little bit more, and that's a really amazing story, and I love the background of the journey here and your passion for helping people to determine if franchising their business makes sense, or going into a franchise makes sense, which we're going to dive in. But before we go there, I want to take one step back, and I want to go back to even maybe the 12-year-old days when you started the paper route, or maybe it was the university days, or maybe it was when you were a younger self, right? And
Oh
this is
yeah,
the question. I believe we've all been given certain gifts, and these gifts have been given to us to be a blessing for others. Some people call them superpowers, some people call them strengths. I believe they're God-given gifts, and I believe these gifts were given to us to be a blessing and a help to others. So I'm
man.
curious, Ricardo, what is that one or two gifts that maybe you believe you were given, and how do those help how you help and bless people today?
So I believe I am a positive, motivated, enthusiastic individual who I like to enjoy the ability of helping others, right? And I think my gift is to help people understand and be transparent that all the information I give them is accurate and that it's actually a real fact and people can actually check up on it. And the good thing is that when I speak to people, one of the gifts that I actually do, I'm fully transparent. And it is so hard these days that we're actually living in a society with so much non-transparent individuals or entities or companies or information. I know how to disseminate the information to accurately figure out transparency from numbers, from people's how should you call it, introduction of things, right? So I believe that's one of my gifts.
It's a great gift. And was it a gift of numbers and at a young age that you just kind of saw them and understood them, and it worked well? Walk us through that.
Yeah, well, I think numbers for me was an easy path. I enjoy numbers from the get go, from a very young age, just because I was always dealing with money, right? When I started my paper route, the way I looked at it was the newspaper sold for 25 cents, right? But I got paid 11 cents. So I would do the math, right? Okay, wait a minute, 11 cents for every newspaper I'm delivering. I started in the route with 25. Wait a minute, what happens if I increase it? Let me increase the numbers, right? So I grew with that stimulus of those numbers and looking at the numbers that are going to make profitability out of it, right? And it got to a point where he said, wait a minute. I asked my manager at that time, he said, what do I need to do to increase the size of my route? Can I attain other routes? He said, well, you got to find subscribers. He said, how do you get subscribers? Well, they usually, our company does all the marketing and the people who attain it and comes to us. Well, guess what? I reinvented that wheel. I went from door to door asking people he wanted to join my route. Because back in the days, the way it was not a person to person, door to door. It was where a person will actually call in the newspaper and they will request to be delivered newspaper to their house, and they will attach that to a particular route in the area whoever was delivering those papers, right? So I needed to be simplified because I had 25 newspapers. They were all over the place within my neighborhood, and it was a pain. So I created my own route and a path and a methodology in a way, mathematically, that if I can streamline the delivery of the newspaper from house to house, it would have been more efficient for me. Let me put it this way. I created such a methodology that when I got it to 565 newspaper, and after 9 months of doing the business, they could not have one person doing the route the way I was doing it. So that route ended up being broken out in like 15 different people to deliver, young kids to do so. So yes, I have always found ways of how to streamline methodologies because it comes naturally to me by using numbers, right? Numbers is the key of any business to strive forward for any entity that you want to create, even from spending, from buying, and from attaining, right? The cost of acquisition of a client, the cost of acquisition of a business. You see what I'm saying? The entity or the profitability of a business to take place. So those numbers come naturally to me. What do you need to do in order for that business to strive that it's going to be profitable for you, that the number is going to make sense? I have had people tell me, oh yeah, my business make money. He says, oh really? How much money? How much money you make for dollar acquisition? And after I look at the expenses, they're spending $20 to make $5. Is that making money? No, that's basically one quarter of what they're actually spending on, all right? Or I should say one third. Because if you're spending $75 on $100 and you're only making 25, it's costing you 3 to 1, which it should be the 1 to 3. Like for example, that means you're spending $3 for every dollar you make. So that aspect of those numbers is crucial in any business evaluation from the beginning to the end.
Beautiful. Well, so much there and amazing. So we're going to dive into that exactly and apply that to determining if franchising your business makes sense. And it sounds like the first thing and the most important thing is obviously knowing your numbers and understanding your numbers and looking for those ratios. And if I heard you correctly, you're saying for every dollar you're spending in expense, right, each hopefully should be as much or more than $3 in
More.
return. Is that a fair summary?
Correct. So for every dollar you spend, you want to get over 100%. So that means if I get $1 in my investment back, that's 100%. But if I get two, it's 200% profitability. The idea is to be 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 700% profitability in the total expenditure. Right? Most people don't know this, but Amazon recently became profitable due to the pandemic. Right? That did not have to get fixed. Why do they mean by recently became profitable? It's because they always had more expenses than the money they were actually selling. Right? They were striving forward. They were investing, were believing in the business entity. So it is what it is, right? It just have to make it possible where your money is always working for you. You're not working for your money.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. So let's dive right into that. So what's maybe the three secrets to determining if your franchise, if franchising your business makes sense? It'd be those ratios when you're looking at those numbers and you're seeing if it, what those are. That would be the first step, right? But maybe there's a step prior to that. What's the step prior to
First,
that to understand if it makes sense?
yes, the first step, evaluating the existing business model if it is a working existing model. If the business is a working, still improving model that is make profitability over a periods of time, we look at the numbers and evaluate the numbers, how the money is being evaluated, how many streams of income they're getting from that business that is allows it to create a well to be able to be see how you can create royalties from it, right? Why? Because not all business can be considered to be franchisor or franchisee model due to the fact that depending upon how many streams of income they currently have within that particular business. So that analysis is crucial and important to understand that business can be franchised. If we cannot franchise that business, what good is it to spend the money on trying to franchise a business that cannot be modeled?
Okay, so if I'm hearing you correctly, you're saying, hey, how many streams of income does that business produce? So let's use a blockbuster model, right? Of course, they're renting the movies, but then they have the popcorn there, right? And then they have the maybe the
Souvenirs,
merchandising.
souvenirs, merchandising, yes.
Yeah, yeah, and then or even what they say, like what is it? What is it? It's McDonald's, right? They're really making the money on the fries and the Coke. They're losing on the burger, right? But then maybe they have other revenue streams. So maybe give us. I mean, that the restaurant one is maybe the easiest one, but let's focus on maybe real estate businesses that are franchised, or even real estate brokerages that are franchised, or financial advising companies that are franchises. For the professional business service, Ricardo, what would be the multiple streams of income that you'd be looking for?
So it all depends on the type of business that exists, right? So if you tell me that you are a dentist and you only have the so-called dental cleaning, and that's one stream of income, right? But let's say, for example, you do dental bleach, that's a second stream of income. But let's say that on that now you also do crown, right? Installations in because not all dentists may not necessarily be qualified to install crowns or even to manufacture the crown to be installed. So they have to sub the system out to someone else so they can bring some profitability from that, right? It's just a matter of the business entity that we can only emphasize what they're actually creating within their business model. They can be create multiple stream of income to create royalties from it,
That
right?
makes that makes perfect sense. Okay, so that's step one, determining the multiple streams of income, and then as well determining the expense that you're spending versus the return on your investment, right? Your business. What would be the
Yeah.
next step?
So many businesses that you're creating multiple streams is analyzing those streams and how royalties is going to be broken down between those streams of income for the benefit of the franchise or the franchisee. And a lot of times people want to do it on the growth, not in the net, right? What do I mean by the growth on the net? A lot of franchisors, they want to benefit from the growth. And I don't find it fair to be benefit from the growth due to the fact that that franchise model, they do have expenses across the board from day by day operation. So if you are the franchisor benefiting from the growth of each franchisee instead of the net after taxes, after total expenses with the individual entity, I think it will be more beneficial not only for the franchisee but also for the franchisor, right? That is one of the crucial problems that I constantly see in a lot of these huge, big franchise that have gone so big. It's because they're benefiting from the franchisor's growth of business because they have built that brand, right? Which, yes, the franchisee is still making money, but they're not making it at a higher grade of return. That's why the franchise store is growing so much faster, right? Because they're benefiting from the growth of each individual franchisee sales.
Excellent. Okay, so now let's get real practical. So I want to talk about actual people that you've had, maybe a success story. Let's do one success story, and then let's do one train wreck, right? And walk us through kind of this case study of why it was successful, right, and why it worked out. What the individual did to make it a success, to follow the things that you would probably lay out for them, right? And then let's do the train wreck where somebody just went off on their own and didn't do that. Do you want to share a few case studies if that's okay?
Yeah, sure. Okay, let's give you a good example. I've gotten people that have come to me who wants to own a franchise, and they say, okay, great. Oh yeah, but I don't want to use a broker. Oh no, I don't want to use a third party individual. Guess what? You're welcome to contact the franchisor and do all the negotiation. And if anything you do it on your own risk. But since you are so-called an expert at analyzing all the numbers, go for it. I have no problem with that. So a lot of times, then they come back to us and they say, "Oh yeah, we should have contacted you before because we bought into this franchisee or franchisor, and now we find out the franchisor is not giving us any of their information. We analyze the financial disclosure documents, and now we realize that those numbers were not as accurate as they said they were. They said they have 100 members, but the franchisor, the franchisee disclosure document only state five that are the rock star. What about the other ones? So all that stuff analysis is going to place, right? So what happened is that they think people are invincible, and people think that they know everything about everything in business, but then probably because they probably own at one point or another one franchise change and the models change over time. And one of the downfall of people is they think they can do it all themselves. And this is where we come in to help them to walk them from A to C in the process. That will allow them to understand that every single methodology in this process steps have an order for a reason. It's because we want to make sure that you are fully aware that when you make the decision on buying a business, you are doing the right choice and decision on how to acquire that business. Because if from A to C, when you hit the D, it does not match what your requirements and needs are, it's perfect time for you to move on to evaluate some other business entity instead. Because it may not necessarily be tailored for you. You gotta understand, most people who wants to buy a franchise, a lot of times they come directly from the background of the business entity they have established in their life. They say you're a hairstylist, you work for a particular hairstylist salon. Now you become a business owner of a hairstylist. You will know what to look for in that business model. But let's say, for example, you get into another business that is not necessarily related to hairstylist, but you jump in another business completely different, flipping burgers, owning a restaurant. But you don't know nothing about that business, and you jump in that background thinking that it's going to be very profitable because you heard somebody tell you that business is going to be very profitable. Guess what? If you don't have the training, the ability, the expertise on the go how, you don't know what to do next. That happens more often than not.
Yeah, so much there to unpack, but the heart of what I heard here was hire the who, don't be the how. And by the way,
Correct.
this is something I struggle with all the time, right? And I imagine all of our listeners who are very successful and have done really well and may have owned a business or a franchise or a piece of real estate, and they've done very well and financially, and now they're looking to do something, and they're like, I can tackle that, I can figure that out, I can negotiate on my own behalf. But there's so many nuances to every single deal, or different even business models. So you want someone like Ricardo, who's I don't know, probably analyzed thousands of deals and helped hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people do it correctly. So hire the who, don't be the how, and then really
Correct.
come at it with humility. Right? Is that a fair summary?
That is exactly one of the things that I emphasize. And people ask me about the who's in the house all the time. And if you don't know how to do about something, just find because it's your how. Find the who which it does, and we'll tell you how to go about doing so.
Beautiful. All right. So you gave us kind of the big picture there. So are there any maybe a recent case study? Because I know sometimes those case studies can be there's so many deals, but is there something where like this person did it right, right? They give us your success story. One of the best deals you've had for transformation for somebody when they worked with you, Ricardo.
Well, when people work with us, and one of the entity of the deal is that we streamline in their process and the methodology that they will take them by the hand. Where now for every single burden in between that are coming through in the generation of the upswing of business, is that we try to tell them to invest in the downswing, right? Because business cycles that take 2 to 3 months, 2 to 3 months, right? And when you're establishing your business in the downswing, which means when the economy is going in chaotic aspect right now, let's say right now with pandemic, people need to jump in on the downswing because everything is uncertain, right? This is the time you invest, right? You say, wait a minute, how am I going to be in this downswing? Because it's cyclical. Every 3 or 4 months, business change and gradually grows. So if you invest now when it's in the downswing, you're going to prepare your business model to be in place and everything that needs to take place A, B, C, D, E to connect it because there's some charges, some costs, some investment that you need to put in. So when you start going to the upswing because now your business is ready to kick off and booming, guess what? Now you're in the upswing. Now you're making money from the upswing change of the economy. That's one of the key success for any people in jumping in the business. Do not jump in business when you are in the upswing because by the time you set it up 2 to 3 months, you're gonna be in the downswing, but you're gonna lose money, and you're gonna say, "I'm not making any money. I invest all this money, and I'm not making the money." Well, listen, it's about a structure of time, and time will actually tell you when the profitability is going to take place. That's why we analyze the market. This is how we analyze the industry. This is why we analyze the type of business that is into place. So when they're taking into effect, if you want to buy not one territory but 6, 10 territory, you're making that wise decision to make those entities of business grow. We had one particular client who wanted to open X, Y, and Z particular franchise in the Dallas area, but she wanted to open 10 units. But instead, there were only availability for 5. Oh, she didn't want to jump in the bandwagon and do that. Probably because she wanted 10. Guess what? You don't have to do all 10 entities at one time. You got to grammatically, gradually increase them over time. And because they follow our process, they were able to integrate those entities according to a very profitable path that we not only we found all the locations that she wanted within a particular area for the 5 in that one particular territory, but then we were able to find the other 5 in a period of time that we were able to grow dramatically and increase gradually within that particular brand. And not only now is she only 3 or 5, but she only 10. You see what I'm saying?
I do see what you're saying, and I think one of the themes I catch there is don't let the emotions drown out the numbers, right?
Correct.
Don't let your
Sometimes
excitement,
desperation.
yeah, don't let your excitement or instead, again, hire the who, don't be the how, right? Get with somebody who can actually help you understand those numbers, understand the macroeconomics of that industry, of the microeconomics of those exact locations and where they're at, right? And what to open instead of doing
Yeah.
10, do 5, and don't let your emotions get in the way. That being said, Ricardo, if someone wanted to take a couple steps to work with you, what's the first question that you would want to ask potential clients of yours?
The first question they always ask is what industry they want to be involved with, right? Is it something related to their niche of industry where they have expertise, or is it a niche or industry completely away from the entity of business that they know how to go about doing so, right? Why there's a learning curve in everything that we actually do, and there's a learning curve in everything that you actually do as a business progress, or you want to emphasize your knowledge and wisdom and ability on another business. So it takes training, it takes time, it takes patience. People think they're gonna make it rich overnight. It does not work that way. Business entities gradually increase. One of the biggest questions people ask me is, when would I get a return on my investment? Listen, if I had a magic wand to tell you how fast you're gonna get your money, guess what? It's all about you as an individual, how you're gonna run your business and your business to be profitable. Why do I say that? Like I said earlier, not all business are created equal, and not all franchise are created equal, and not all equal franchise are equally profitable, right? You may have 2 locations. one great location in one particular place with a very crappy manager who does not know how to run the business, but is making being successful. And then you have another one where it's a particular franchise in a very bad location, but a great manager who's making it in that particular business a rock star. Yes, probably he's taking the more emphasis to create more wealth, but because he's great of a manager, he's making it to become very effective. That's all it takes. It takes training. It takes time to guide you into that path of perfection to make sure you're making the right decision to make sure that your business is striving for success by connecting with us. We're helping you along the way in every aspect. Whatever the franchisor does not give you, we assist you. And the good thing is that we all of our consultants are complementary. In addition to that, I give to all my members who are become part of our network. I give them free tools on how to do marketing and how to emphasize different methodologies, how to connect with LinkedIn and take LinkedIn to your next level, and so on.
Excellent. Thank you for sharing that. And one last question before we go to the lightning round, and that's really the episode title, which is determining if your business is worth franchising or taking it to the next level. So speak now, not so much for the person just starting out, but the person maybe has an established real estate company or a real estate brokerage or a car dealership business or a dental practice, right? A veterinarian practice. Like, what would be the first question to ask that you would want to know if it's worth franchises and taking to the next level here?
Well, people think that they have a business model and they want to grow their business model to a franchise model. Franchise model is another strategy of growing your business or your practice or your entity or your business entity alike, right? One of the clear need of expectation is that they need to have that this does not happen overnight. Okay, turning a business model into a franchise model takes from 5 to 8 months, depending upon the areas and location that they want to grow in, right? I can tell you this. We can start with one state, making a profitability and building that existing model within that state, creating territories, creating brand within those territories, 3 to 5 entities of units. That takes from 3 to 5 months to start establishing that methodology. The good thing about turning a business into a franchise model is that you don't have to spend thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars right off the bat. You dramatically increase your expenditure within that business model along the way. There are certain minimum requirements, amount of money that it costs to establish a particular franchise business into a model of a franchise business model. Why? Because we have to get registration, we have to get financial disclosure documents, we have to start entity investigating the numbers and getting the doing the analysis of your business entities and going from there forward. So all I got to tell you is in relation to that business creation is time, time and patience to turn your business that is a proven model into a profitable model so that other entities who jump along the way with your business can actually be equally as profitable as your business model is for you, but for other people too, right? Because if you're going to charge 2, 3, 4, 5% royalty every month for them, are you going to give the first year free royalty because you're proving their model? If your model is that prove that good of a benefit that is entity that is going to be beneficial for them, due to the existing pandemic, a lot of companies who had certain royalties entities gave so many royalties free for 3 or 4 or 5 months. This is why a lot of the franchisors were able to grow so fast because they were giving not one, not two, not three, but 6, 7 months free of royalty free so they can build that entity. When you start a new business, you don't want to get into many recurring charges of business entities or services that you need to integrate within your business because otherwise you are spending money out, and no money's coming in. The goal here is to make sure that you spend the necessary amount of money for the business that you're going to establish and not to incur certain charges or expenses along the way that are going to be any bringing you any benefit or value to your business right off the beginning or the start. So the idea is to get money in before money starts going out. Yes, there's going to be an initial amount of money that you didn't spend to any business at the beginning, but the idea is to stay within that bracket that as your money start coming in, those expenses are going to start going down. Then now your expenses, your profitability over here is increasing higher than you're
Mhm.
actually expenses, which just goes like this, right?
Got it.
You want to
Got
be
it.
at that level, instead of going like this all the time.
Got it. And we're running out of time now, so you ready for the lightning round?
Sure, let's do it.
All right. So, knowing what you know now, if you could go back to your 25-year-old self, Ricardo, what's the one golden nugget that you would make sure you would tell yourself?
Man, not to sell some of the business that I sold.
Never sell, baby. Just keep growing.
Some business that I created, I got rid of them too soon, and I should have not. But I built those models, and some of them they're still in this day. They're still in place. One is called Timeout. It's a arcade company that is
Okay.
in place until today.
Excellent. Second question: what project are you working on? What is the most important project that you're working on at the moment right now?
Well, let me put it this way: my Inside Story podcast is moving along the way quite dramatically. I'm surprised how good it is. We already got 8 shows running. We got about 12 more coming along the way. Our book, one of our books for the Inside Story of franchise and how to create multiple stream of income is coming. We're in the production right now. I think it's completed. We just need to start doing the certain editing here before it goes live in our book.
Mhm.
Our next project will be some seminar project trainings that we're going to analyze for people. Those are going to be completely free and virtual
Mhm.
trainings. We're trying to emphasize certain trainings for other people. We're trying to integrate all the methodologies of marketing strategies and entities for people to be more attainable on to connect directly through any source of income across the board in any entity of business. So trying to create that whole
Good.
network for
Yeah,
people.
that's
It's a
great.
lot of work. Man, my brain. If I tell you all the ideas that comes in my head, I got a book that I don't know where's my book. There's a book that I have with all my ideas, and
Mhm.
every day those ideas are going crazy. It's just insane.
I can relate, and I got 5 kids and 2 podcasts and two companies, and yeah, so it's pretty incredible. Next question is this: um, what are you curious about right now?
What and what?
What are you curious about right now?
What I'm curious. What am
Mhm.
I curious about? Well, you know what? I'll be honest with you. I'm trying to stay away from the political aspect. I am trying to stay away from media news. I'm trying to stay away from all the negativism that is happening in the world. I am very optimistic instead of pessimistic. I see the glass always half full. I spoke to a young lady yesterday and asked me, "What did I do? What is it I do?" And as I go in detail, she was like impressed. Oh, wow, that's interesting. I never knew that kind of business existed, and I'm talking to people who are left to right. They're so consumed in negative things in the world that when you tell them something that exists that is positively, um, it curious me that people are now more aware of the positive things that is happening in life, and they're more focused on the negative things then we get bombarded with so many negativism day by day and fear factors that people don't understand. There's always possibility to strive forward. I spoke to a young lady, and I know we're gonna get out of time. The other day, she told me she was doing something dramatic and radical, which I didn't know women are doing this. Women and men are starting to do this. They're living in their cars because they have free membership. They have membership for a lifetime or some kind of gym. They take showers at the gym and they live in their car and they rent storage and they get rid of their rent because their rent is so expensive. It's more cheaper for them to pay $100 doing storage, pay $79 at a gym, they 24 hours and live in their. I was
Mm.
like, people are doing dramatic things to strive forward to save enough money to own a businesses. If you're not owning a business, if you're not in control of your life, and you don't know where your money's coming or where your wealth is coming or going, you're out of the loop. You're in the rat race working for someone else. You can brag all you want about working for someone else and be successful and attaining money, but at the long the run, you're still working for one stream of income, that one salary. Yes, you can have two stream of income when you work for someone else because if you have a 401k and they contribute you to your 401k, let's say 2, 3, 4, 5, or 7%, that's a second stream of income, but not for today, for the
Yep.
future, right?
Yep. We're out of time, Ricardo. You have so much wisdom, and I have to come back on the show again to get part 2 here. And so I love the energy and I love the content. So we're gonna have a one word answer. You ready? Here's the one word. What is the best 2021 franchise, either industry or opportunity that you see, given what's happened with COVID-19 2016, right? So what is it? What is it? What is that? What is
Okay,
that?
so there's not just one franchise; it's one particular company that is in the fitness world, almost what we call boutique. They call boutique entities of business. The company is called Exponential. There's a group. They hold not one, not two, but 10 different franchise
Okay.
models in the exercise fitness world. And believe it
Okay.
or not, if you want to reach out to me, they're very profitable. They're going from Stretch Lab, from Polaris, you name it.
Perfect. There it is. And there's his website with srsfranchise.com, Ricardo Matos. Hey, Ricardo, it's been a pleasure having you on the show. I want to encourage you to keep using the gifts and talents you've been given to bless others and help them, create and preserve more wealth in their business and or franchising or buying businesses, selling businesses, all of the above. Reach out to Ricardo Matos at srsfranchise.com. And of course, if you have any challenges with the capital gains tax, and you're looking for ways to exit a business or real estate, high-end primary home, private stock, public stock, and cryptocurrency, anything that has capital gains tax, you can use the Deferred Sales Trust. And thousands of closes, 25-year track record. You can go to capitalgainstaxsolutions.com to learn about that. Schedule your free one-on-one consultation. If you're a business broker listening to this podcast, or a financial advisor or commercial real estate agent, you can go to experttaxsecrets.com to learn more about how the Deferred Sales Trust can grow your business. With that, everybody, we're out of time. Thank you so much for being a part of the show and listening. We will talk.